Hey child, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, hi, welcome. My video today is going to be talking about my hair transplant, 2 years on, what I've learned and how I feel now that I've got a pixie cut and have relaxed it. So first things first, I do want to mention here that I'm not urging anyone to do a hair transplant. I have a link below if you are thinking about it. I have many videos which I'm also going to link below about my journey in with my hair transplant, what I learned, the money aspects of things, how much it costs, everything is in those videos. I did very detailed videos in the year of. I did pair up my hair transplant with PRP, which is platelet rich plasma, which are injections where they take my blood, turn it into plasma and inject it back into the areas which I wanted to be full again. This is something that helps stimulate growth and can be used without hair transplant if you feel like you need it. And I did 7 sessions, 4 to 6 weeks apart from 3 months. My hair transplant was done at Longevita. It was not an ambassador thing. I didn't get paid to go. I went, and because of this, my success story of it, I was then put on an ambassador program after. So if you see that the link has my name in it, that's why. After the fact, that's when they saw how popular it was, they then gave me discount codes. So that's how that came about. I'm not an influencer of any kind in this particular subject, but there are a few things that I've learned and I have applied to because I'm a hairdresser. There's certain things that I understand that I've applied to because I'm a hairdresser. So this is just my professional opinion on it. I'm not a trichologist. I'm not a dermatologist. If you want to go more in depth with that, it is best to talk to those people. And I will try and have one on my channel so we can have those conversations. But until then, please, if you want to ask very technical questions, make sure you direct those to someone who is a professional in that area. So the first thing that I want to mention is a transplant is not an easy decision. I've always said if you are going to have a transplant, you should definitely see someone about it. See someone and confirm what issue you have. If you have any issue, if it's traction alopecia, it can be solved with a transplant depending on what the professional says. Like for me, I knew that I had traction alopecia. I knew I had it for a fact. Again, like I said, I did see someone about it, and I also had thinning in my crown, which is where I mostly did my hair transplant. Some of it was done in the transplant, but I didn't have enough grafts to do my whole head, so I kept it with a PRP. It is an option still to do another hair transplant for that area, but so far I don't see the need to because the PRP seems to have picked it up. The reason I had thinning in the middle of my head was because I kept on doing cane rows that were quite tight in that area. I noticed I had thinning from the age of, I want to say like 22, between 22 and 24. I'm not really sure on the dates, when a trichologist looked at my scalp and told me I was thinning in that area. It is something that I feel is hereditary because I saw that my mum started getting it around her early 50s, late 40s. This journey, it takes patience, it takes just following the guide that your team at the transplant tell you to do, avoiding things that you know will definitely land you back where you started. Now I'm going to pause here because I know people are going to come for me and tell me that I did all the things that landed me back here, i.e. I've done braids since having a transplant, and I have now got relaxed hair. Now the one thing I do want to mention is when you know better, you do things differently. So the thing about the braids, what I used to do back to back braids, and I used to do them super tight. I used to redo the front and back of my hair every 2 weeks without fail, and then I used to pull them into very tight hairstyles. There was no way my hairline was going to survive such vicious, violent behavior. So that's number one. Number two, I also used to use different people to braid my hair, and one thing that I've learned is if you find a good braider and they are gentle with your hairline, stick to that person. I didn't. I went to different people, and I went to people who weren't professionals. So we were doing them small, we were doing the braids heavy. It was a mess, and I did this for years and years and years. I did it when I was younger, which ended up in me having 2 bald patches here. Then once I was at university, braids were my friends, because whenever I wasn't relaxing my hair, I was braiding. That's another thing I want to talk about. Relaxing your hair and having tight braids, that combination is awful, and I did that for years while I was at uni. It's only after uni, when I was about 22, 23, and I came into being a hairdresser, I started to know that what I was doing was bad, but by then the damage was done. Even though I had stopped doing braids, what I kept on doing was wearing wigs, and no, it didn't damage my hairline because that was already done. In fact, my hairline grew because I put silk inside my wigs, but the middle started thinning even more because I kept on doing tight cane rows. So that's what I mean when I say I'm not doing the things that I used to do before. I understand if I'm wearing wigs, I would never need to cane row that tightly. Flat twists are a great alternative. Number 2, if it feels tight, it ain't right. I'm not doing it. So when I got my braids the last time, they were very loose. I don't mind having loose braids now. I don't use heavy braids. I don't do super long hairstyles that I feel will drag my hair. The hairline, I always do looser, so it always looks like it's a bit like a week old, rather than having that fresh brand new look. It's just not something that I will do. And also I have limited myself to only having braids once or twice a year. Avoiding what you did before will help you keep and gain and the hair that you have now. I never used to even do treatments. So as a hairdresser now, I have so much knowledge on this, and applying that knowledge has made me a better carer for my hair. And it's that word that I'm trying to spread across. When I do my little 1-minute reels, I get a lot of comments, a lot of hate on the fact that I relax my hair, or I have had braids, and lots of people keep saying you're gonna lose your hair again. I'm not gonna lose my hair again, because I know better. When you know better, you do better. Another thing that I want to put out there, especially, it's a question that I get a lot. You might need more than 1 transplant. I'm a candidate for a second transplant because, again, the area that I wanted to transplant was the front of my hair and this crown area. I couldn't do both because I didn't have enough hair grafts. I did 2,500 grafts. That's all I could take. I've got a small head, and I've got quite like medium to fine strands of hair, so they couldn't harvest enough to cover that whole area. The only thing they could cover is this area and a little bit, I think it's about that much of the top. So those bits are sorted, and then I just injected the rest of the areas. I also did PRP at the back of my head, which was the donor area, so that my hair could come back. The hair transplant for me it's quite a long process. It's a tedious one. You kind of have to put your hair away for a while. Some people are able to wear it out, but because my personal style and choice of wearing my hair is always short, it's almost impossible for me to do that without wearing a wig. I cannot walk around with half of my head patchy. I'll look crazy. So that's one of the reasons why I wore wigs, and I put silk inside so that my hair could grow in peace. And I know that I'm not adding any extra, anything, like nothing's pulling, and I can still look cute. Another thing that people don't realise, that you might also need to take medication or something alongside it to upkeep your hair. And by that I mean products that keep your hair in a growing phase after your hair transplant. Because for some people, i.e. a lot of men that have balding, when they have a hair transplant, maybe 6, 7, 8 years later, they'll need another one because the hair starts to thin. The reason why that is because a hair transplant, though permanent, if you do not have any issues with your hair, if you have something that is degenerative, what will happen is your hair's always going to end up there. And for me, I feel like using minoxidil or things like that to keep my hair in an active phase, but I haven't done it yet. So far, this is all just the result from the hair transplant, but it is something that I am thinking about, because I definitely don't think I'll be doing another hair transplant. I wouldn't say never, but it's definitely not something that I'm thinking about. I'm super happy with the results that I had. I think I went into it thinking you might get 80%, and I feel like I got a good 95. So with that, I'm okay. Last but not least, something that I noticed is some styles that used to work before do not work anymore. So reason why I say that is I had baby hairs. Like I had little triangles of baby hairs on both sides of my head in this little area here. And when I did the transplant, I helped outline my hairline, but that area that had the baby hairs, I kind of did the squiggly line so that it wasn't so harsh. But because they implanted new hairs there, all the hair that grows where my baby hairs used to be are just curly. So what's happened is I've lost all my baby hairs. They're gone. They're absolutely gone. When they're curly, they're just full-grown adult hairs. I don't have any baby hairs anymore. I only have the ones I had on my sideburn, but I don't have those flat hairs that I used to have. So it is something that I say to anyone, if you're going for a hair transplant, you've got natural baby hairs, try to avoid those areas, because if you put hairs there, you will not have those baby hairs anymore. I was so used to having the hairline that I had. So I had thinning all around my hairline. The parts that were thin meant that I had more forehead. And I didn't realise that my original forehead was quite a small one. So, you know, when I used to wear wigs, I used to put it where the thinning kind of stopped, which was a good 2 centimetres behind my original hairline. So when I got the transplant, I realised I have quite a low hairline. And side partings just started to look weird on me. They started to look weird on me when I wore wigs, and I could really only opt for a middle part. So that's something that definitely took me for a spin. And again, on the side of my hair, if I push back my hair, you'll see there's such a little space between my eyebrow and my hairline. Like, this is how low my hairline is. And when I looked at baby pictures, I realized that, yeah, that's exactly where my hairline used to be. So I have a very small space here, and if I push, let me just see if I can show you guys. If I push my hairline, that's it. That's all I have. And before, I used to have about that much. And that makes a massive difference, you know. And I don't have that anymore. So it took me a minute to sort of start liking the dimension on my face again, because there's certain things that just looked way too low. And whenever I pulled it back, I was like, oh, there's hair there. Can't do that. So that definitely changed things for me. Now I know that I've categorized myself as someone having a small forehead. And I have small forehead girl problems, which means that frontals, anything like that, just wouldn't really work for me, and because I will always feel like I'm wearing a Dracula. Nah, it just didn't look right on me anymore. So I started opting for middle parts, and where I can push it back a little bit. I hope those help. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other questions about the transplant, or things that you would like me to talk about. I will never stop talking about the hair transplant, because it has completely changed my life. If there's anything that I see that has come up, if there's anything in that realm that I feel may help anyone, I will always talk about it, because it has absolutely changed my life. And I don't think, well, since having my transplant, actually, there's been so many black women that I have seen do a hair transplant. But when I was doing my transplant, there were only 2 girls that I saw and 1 black male, and apart from that, I had to base all the experiences on Caucasians or white hair. And that's why I made it my mission to talk about it as much as possible, and also showcase that you can be black and have a hair transplant, it be successful. For some reason, a lot of people didn't know that it was something that we could do, and I think it's because they never saw anyone that looked like them, that had the same hair type as them, do it. So I hope this video helps, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, bye.